Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you what you need to do when you are watching a video and trying to learn from my direct instruction via the internet. So each time there's a video lesson for homework, you're going to get notes. That is your accountability. That is what I will check to see that you filled in. And I have two pieces of paper today that go along with this video. You should have received it moments ago. And it's the white paper and the salmon paper. And they look like this. Okay. Sometimes I'll show those papers in videos. Other videos I'll just expect that you have what you're required to use during the video. So in this note sheet, usually I'll tell you about the table of contents first, but this one's a little bit different. This is actually going to teach us what are our jobs, and we're going to fill that in as I go through it. So get your pencil ready. What do you need to do while you're watching one of my videos? Well, you need to take notes. So fill that in using the closed notes that I've given you. So I just gave you a piece of paper, it has blanks in it. So anything I write on the board, you have to write down somewhere. Sometimes we'll do an example and you're supposed to just use the notebook paper on the back of your note sheet, and sometimes it'll be filling in these blanks. While you're watching the video, it's important if you have any questions, since I'm not live and you're not able to ask me right away, that you write down any questions you have. So that's the second bullet. Write down any questions you have. You can always ask me via Google Classroom if you really want to know that evening. I will do my best to check them. Or you could wait until the next day when we're practicing them in class and you remember, oh, I had a question about this. So write it down so you don't forget it. The third bullet is that you want to be able to pause the video at your need. If you need to finish writing the word questions, then you should pause it, write the word, and then resume. So pause is the next word you have to write down. The fourth bullet point is actually the most important. You have to pay attention with your whole mind when you are watching these videos. So pay attention with your whole mind. If you have a noisy environment, you're going to really want to seek out a special spot where you can devote just 20 or so minutes of your night to watching these videos when you need to, okay? If that's an issue, please come talk to me about it and we'll work it out. The next bullet point is to make connections so that your brain can remember. You're going to want to write maybe the connections down if you want to in the back of your journals. I'll explain more about how your journals work as well. And the last one is to glue in the notes after you're done writing about them. If you haven't filled in the table of contents, you want to make sure you do that as well. I usually do it in the beginning of the video, so you might want to just get that over with. But your table of contents should be filled out as we go along. Just a little note, we're not going to glue yet. We'll glue at the very end. This isn't going to go into your actual note pages. We're actually going to glue it onto the back cover and on top of the envelope that you got. So just a little FYI for that. Now here is the table of contents that I do want you to fill out. So make sure you turn to that section of your notebook. And oftentimes I'll have this typed out already, so all you have to do is copy it down. This is actually talking about that reddish orangish paper that you have. That's what we're going to do next. And it's going to be labeled the same thing that's on the page itself, math strategies. So fill that in, and again, if you needed to pause, we will. Now this poster is going to be in the classroom. You're going to make your own mini version right now along with me. And it's all about strategies that you can use when you come across a story or a word problem. They might not be your favorite, but you're going to see some in 6th grade this year, and these are the tools that we can use to be more successful with them. So it's an acronym. we're going to write letters in the cubes that you see, and they are going to spell a word. First letter is going to be a C. That's going to stand for the word circle. What are we going to circle? We're going to circle key numbers. Remember, you're writing down everything that I am. And I'm just going to, for fun, put some numbers around the word key numbers. Okay. Do you have to circle? No, but you have to mark up your problem some way. If you happen to underline your key numbers, that's okay. But these are just some strategies that I like to use. Circle key numbers. The U is going to stand for underline. Another thing and another way you can mark up your problem is to underline the question. The third cube is going to have a B in it. That B stands for box, and I can put a box around box. Going up, I can actually underline the word underline. Forgot to do that. Oops. And I can actually circle the word circle. There we go. So I'm going to be boxing all of my math action words. So we're in a box, math, action words. Now you're going to have a whole page dedicated to what are those kinds of words. They tell you what operation you should do. So words like sum or difference or product. So I'm going to write the symbols add, subtract, multiply, divide above the word action. So these math action words we're going to box, and that tells us the operation that we should use in the problem. Moving on, the next cube, and if you have the pattern, you might have guessed the next letter. It is an E. So far we have spelled cube. The E stands for evaluate. And what are we going to evaluate? We're going to be thinking. We're going to be thinking about the steps that we need to take to solve the problem. So I'm going to draw a think cloud, because really this isn't really something that's marking up a problem. It's actually the thinking going on to help you solve it. So I'm going to write to remind me, what steps do I take? That's what you're really asking yourself when you're at this stage of the problem solving. The last box, we're going to put an S in it, because that's when you actually solve the problem, do the work, and check to make sure that it makes sense. So I'm going to do a little lines around the word solve, because yay, we've arrived at our answer. So these are the cubes, math strategies, and all it is how do we mark up our problem by circling, underlining, boxing important things, evaluate, thinking, and then actually solve it. Often in the videos, you will see practice examples, and I might do them as part of the video to show you the concept, or I might say, try it first and push pause, and then push play when you're ready to see me actually finish out the problem to compare what you did to my work. So at this point, I'd like you to try that. We're going to read about Mary spent $8.50 on lunch and $15.99 on some shoes at the mall. How much money would she have left if she came to Destiny with $30? So she went to the mall with $30, did some shopping, ate some lunch. How much money does she have left? I want you to use the cube strategies. I know you don't actually have this written in any page, so what you're going to want to do is turn to page 2 and kind of gauge how your math strategies poster is going to fit on there. You should have some room at the bottom for you to do some work. You always can do any examples or any work in any space you need on the back. You just won't label it page 2. It's just page 2 just wraps around. That is perfectly fine. Please know that you can use your notebook to show any work at any time. So if you want to write this entirely down, you can. You don't have to. What you could do is read it over, and then any number that you want to circle, you can write down the number and circle it, and I won't give too much away. And you'll see me and how I work this as well. So pause, try it, and then resume when you're ready. So because I don't have this on my paper, I'm going to pretend just like you that I'm looking at this and what would I write on my notebook paper. So I'm reading that she spent 2 different amounts. So those are important numbers. So I'm going to write down the important numbers. And if I were reading this and marking up my problem, I'd actually just circle it. And then I would circle the $15.99. So that's what I would do if it was in a workbook. Since it's not in my workbook, I'm just going to write those numbers down. If I really wanted to, I could write out the whole sentence. So I'm showing you both things. How much money would she have left if she came to Destiny with $30? So I would actually have to write that down. That is what I'm trying to find. How much money after shopping. Notice I summarize. I'm processing. What do I have to do? So it's your notes. Now, are there any math action words we need to pay attention to? There is. This one right here, the word left, is important because we have to find the change. She made some purchases, and what does she have left? So that is going to tell us we're going to need to do some subtraction at some point. Now we could just solve this a lot of different ways actually. We could choose to find the total amount that she actually spent at the mall and then subtract, or we could subtract twice. It's totally up to you. You have to evaluate which way do you want to solve it and then go from there. I'm going to combine so that I just have to subtract once. So I'm going to take my 2 numbers and I'm going to combine them. Now for the purpose of this, you can practice using that calculator. I just showed you if I were to quick add these numbers up, what you should get on the calculator. This is not the focus, the math is not the focus, the problem solving and using cubes is the focus. So when we add these up, you should get 2449. And then in your calculator, you can put in the total amount and subtract the 2449. And your calculator should pop up with a amount of $5.51. That is how you should take notes. And then afterwards, I'm just going to end the video. See you tomorrow. We're going to practice this more, something like that. And then it's up to you to glue them in after.